Cedar Falls trains all public safety officers in both police and fire to national safety standards.
As fire chief, I've had the privilege of growing up in the system in Cedar Falls. 38 years ago, I started in the Cedar Falls Fire Department as a firefighter. And along the way, I learned different skills. And each one of those skills made me better as a firefighter and eventually made me skilled enough to become the fire chief. Each one of these new PSOs is similarly trained. We train them in the basic stuff, initially as Firefighter 1, their law enforcement training. We have training with them each month that better prepares them for each one of the emergencies that we might face along the way.
Each new PSO is trained as a police officer and fully trained firefighter with Firefighter 1 certification, which is the same level of training for all beginning career firefighters.
Here in Cedar Falls, we're required to have a Firefighter 1 certification, whether you're a career or a public safety officer or part of the part-time staff. It's expected that you pass a test that's given out by the Fire Service Training Bureau.
Some PSOs will specialize in police duties, while others will focus on fire duties. But all new public safety officers will be trained in both police and fire. Besides initial training to certify all PSOs, Cedar Falls Public Safety continues a program of ongoing monthly training in both police and fire scenarios.
We have ongoing training with them. They're trained and certified by the same people that they work alongside on the career side. Those people certify that that training is taking place and that those people are capable of responding to and mitigating those emergencies.
They need to know exactly what's going on because out in the field, they're going to be working side by side with us. So we need them to know what we know so that we can depend on them and they can depend on us to get the jobs done.
It's important that training be done with the career staff, and we're doing that. They're required to have 4 hours 3 times a month, which lands on 3 different fire shifts, and we're requiring our alternative staffing, again, PSOs, paid on call and part-timers, to go to one of those 3 training days. And when you've done that, you're doing the required training a month, the same as the career staff.
Jim Krieg is a longtime Cedar Falls resident and former general manager of Cedar Falls Utilities.
I think that's essential to be able to have those folks trained and being able to do 2 skill sets like they are trained as they come into our organization, into our community. And I will say, from my standpoint, that gives me a lot of confidence in what we're doing and how we're approaching this. If we're simply taking a police officer and say, now you're going to fight a fire without any training, that does not make sense at all, in my opinion, and I would not be for that. But I think the deliberate approach that our city leaders have taken in regard to making sure that these people are trained and get to the site first. Again, they're not taking the big trucks, but getting a response time is a big factor in fighting a fire.
Krieg says Cedar Falls has a history of being proactive, and that has helped to create the community that we have today, including the industrial park and world-class broadband, which attracts many new companies to Cedar Falls.
We have great people, both at the fire department and at the police department. And anytime we can leverage those skills to address needs in our community and be more efficient and save money and provide a better service, it's essential that we go down that road.
Jay Stoddard has lived in Cedar Falls nearly his entire life and says the city has a history of being proactive.
Well, I definitely support the Public Safety Officer program because it shows the city being very innovative and progressive and looking at like other communities that have had great success doing this program, like Kalamazoo, Michigan. In fact, city staff and council members went to Kalamazoo, Michigan and visited, talked to them how their Public Safety Officer program has been going, and they've been doing it since the 1980s. I mean, good grief, that's a huge amount of time for them to develop a track record and an opinion on how successful it is. And when checking with them, it's an unequivocal thumbs up from them, great success. And so I think Cedar Falls has always been a progressive community, great city staff, city council, very smart people, investigated this whole thing and came up with this program, which I think, as a citizen of Cedar Falls, I'm very proud of them for doing that.
Cedar Falls public safety leaders assure residents that any new public safety officer will come in as a fully trained firefighter with the same initial training as any new career firefighter. The only difference is that these PSOs will also have the ability to do police duties when they aren't busy with fire calls.
The bottom line is that our firefighters and our public safety officers are more than capable and ready to go at a moment's notice. I have no concerns about those people being able to manage and mitigate an incident, both from the career firefighter level and the public safety officer. In my years, I've never seen the number of people responding to these emergencies that we've had in the past year or two. It's critical to those incidents to have more people to do those jobs than we've ever had in the past. It's critical, and it helps to manage those incidents much better.
Public safety, which is a very, very high priority, that is a big responsibility of our city leaders. And I believe they've done their homework on this issue. They visited those communities, and I think it's something that we ought to give and I think it can provide better service to our citizens as we go forward at a lower cost.
And we have plenty of trained firefighters now in the city of Cedar Falls that the citizens should rest assured they're going to get taken care of.
We as leaders of the city have a responsibility to our community to create a safer, more efficient, and more economical model for our citizens. It's going to be safer because we're going to have more people on scene, highly trained people ready to respond and mitigate those incidents. It's going to be more efficient by using those people when we need them at those major incidents. And it's going to be more economical because we're going to take those people, moving them back and forth in between police and fire, saving some taxpayer dollars.